Yes.
Okay.
Huh?
Well, I'd like to open with a word of prayer. Father, in this moment, there's a lot of pain, but there's a lot of love. And so, we defer to you. Guide us in our thoughts and those who share. Stir up the memories. Remind us. Teach us. Help us to know. Protect us. And help Dan. And I think that would be the thing that we need the most. Help this man. His heart is broken. So I pray that what we do is an encouragement to him. In the name of Christ I pray. Amen. All right, sister.
I have to stand behind the table. I'm going to read a poem first. This is kind of hard for me. So anyway, our brother. Our brothers and sisters are there for us from the dawn of our personal stories to the inevitable dusk. To the world outside, we grow old, right? But not to brothers and sisters. We know each other as we always have. We know each other's hearts. We have always been siblings. It is a part of our identity, part of who we are. We share a common history. We share private family jokes. We remember family feuds and secrets, family griefs and joys. We live outside the touch of time. A sentiment that needs expressing more than any other today. Is the warm appreciation that we feel for you, brother. Having had you as a brother in a world that changes so fast is one of the best parts of our past. The sorrow we feel when we lose a loved one is the price we pay to have had them in our lives at all. Just going to share a few stories. When I talk about our different things that we did when we were growing up, it includes all of us. It includes Ronnie and Ray and Randy and me. We lived on the farm. We all lived together. I mean, we had each other. That was all who we had. And we had a lot of great memories growing up on the farm. We would play cowboys and Indians out in the cornfields. We'd play in the hay mow. Raymond fell out of the hay mow one time, although I think he was hit by a bale of hay. I'm not sure. We did all kinds of things on the farm, and we always had good times. My mother's parents, my grandparents, Grandma and Grandpa Daywalt, we loved to go to their house and do different things and have a lot of fun. My Aunt Susie and my Uncle David, they were our babysitters. I don't know if you can imagine, but all four of us kids were a year apart. So Randy and I were born in the same year. So you can imagine having a 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-old. It was quite chaotic, and they were the babysitters, and they did a great job, and we had a lot of fun. I remember one Christmas they came because my father never believed in buying Christmas early. He always waited till Christmas Eve, and then they would go Christmas Eve and buy all of our gifts. And usually Susie and Tony had to stay with us and then put us to bed when they got home. And the one year we had to, I don't know what happened, but the Christmas tree fell over and we had to tie it to the curtain frame. But we had a lot of good fun. We had a lot of memories. We loved going to our grandparents. And Grandma loved Randy, and we all believed that she loved him the most. He was the favorite because one time we all got in trouble. Something happened. We're not sure what. I can't remember anyway. And she wanted to know who did it. And if we didn't tell who did it, we were all getting spanked. Okay, well, Randy did it. Oh no, Randy couldn't have done it. We're like, yeah, Randy did it. No, you couldn't have done it. He couldn't have done it. He did. Randy actually did it. And so we all got spanked. but it really was Randy. But anytime Grandma needed information, she would pump Randy because he told everything he knew. And my mother, having 4 children, she actually put all of us in 4-H, and we all had projects. We were all in Share the Fun contest, which is a talent contest, and so she would take like the movie Oliver, and she would take different songs and she'd put them all together, and we'd all sing different parts of those songs, and we all sang 4-part harmony. And so the one year that we did Oliver, we were all like vagabonds, hobos, and we had sticks with handkerchiefs on them, and our faces were painted black and like dirt. And then we sang Food, Glorious Food, What Wouldn't We Give For? And one year we did a salute to our flag, and we were all dressed up in red, white, and blue. The boys had red, white, and blue striped pants, honest. And we had white styrofoam hats with bands on them that were red, white, and blue, and we sang You're a Grand Old Flag and several different songs. So that's a good memory that we have of all the fun times we had in 4-H. We showed pigs, so we all had hogs, so we took hogs to the fair. We were involved for 4 kids.
Didn't you win the
We won the Share the Fun contest several years. State contest, yeah, when we were at the 4-H.
And you forgot to tell them about Sarge.
Well, that might be Ronnie's part. Were you talking about Sarge?
I wasn't going to, but I surely can.
Okay. Can't leave out Sarge.
No, Sarge was our boxer who loved us kids to death. He would stand up for us and if we were going to get in trouble, he'd be right there. A lot of times they had to put him somewhere else so that they could spank us because the dogs would not have it. One year when we were 11 and 12, we canned green beans that summer, and we put up 112 quarts as 11 and 12-year-olds. So Mom was working and Dad went there, and it's just what you did. Randy and I were in plays at school. Randy was in Oliver, and then we were both in My Fair Lady. We were both in the chorus. We had a fun time doing that. And then the one thing that I remember is Randy was in a barbershop quartet, and they sang We Are Poor Little Lambs Who Lost Our Way, and boy could they sell it. I mean, they were like, oh, we're poor little lambs. I mean, they did a great job. And then one time we went to Chicago to visit Randy when he had graduated, and so he took us to see Dr. Zhivago, which is a 3-hour movie, and we had no idea. But we loved it, and we had so much fun going and seeing him when we were in Chicago. So there's lots of memories, but it includes all of us. Can't separate one from the other. Thank you.
I think she felt comfortable standing behind the table, so I'm going to do the same thing. Everybody hear me? All right? These are in no specific order, just random thoughts that I had that I wanted to share. Not sure how old we were, but on a farm you know how to learn how to drive a truck when you're 10, 12 years old or younger. And we had chores to do, and Randy had been sick, and he had gotten a penicillin shot. So I remember it was me and my brother Ray. We were over doing chores, and Randy stayed in the truck because he was sick, and he kept beeping the horn, and we kept taking our time. And by the time we got back to the truck, he looked awful. He was all swollen up. You could hardly see out of his eyes. And he was allergic to penicillin. And back then the doctors still did home calls. So they had to call the doctor, and he came out and gave him a penicillin shot to stop the penicillin reactive. But they almost lost him, and that was when he was young. I know Memorial Day weekend, when we were kids, we always went to southern Michigan to our Uncle Davy's cabin or house, and we'd fish and go boating. And when we got old enough, Davy tried to teach everybody how to ski. And Randy wasn't really much of an athlete, but he could sure ski. I know every time I tried to get up on the skis, I couldn't do it. Well, that led him to, when he was probably 18 or 19 years old, bought a boat. Maybe he was 20, but he bought a boat, and we take the boat out on Lake Manitou, which is a small little lake where we grew up, and to go skiing. Not fishing, nothing like that, it was skiing. And of course I couldn't ski, so he did all the skiing. I'm not sure if Raymond went with us or not, I can't remember that, but anyway, he could actually ski. I think he even tried some slalom skiing on one ski. So that was something for a kid that probably wasn't much of an athlete. Another thing that we did a few times was we went camping. And I remember going camping and eating bacon that came out of a can. And Randy was a great cook, and he made it work, and it was good. It was good meals when we went camping. When I was probably 21 or so, I actually lived with Randy for about a year, and during that summer, like Cheryl, Randy was canning, and I think we put up over probably 200 cans or quarts of different things. We raised 100 chickens and butchered them, and my grandma came and with a couple other relatives and showed us how to butcher those chickens and put them in the freezer. So we did a lot of things like that when we were younger. I know later on when I would come, I lived in Florida, and when I'd come down and come back up to Indiana and I'd visit Randy, he'd always make my special meals for me, anything I typically liked, and he was really a good cook. I remember on Friday nights, a lot of Friday nights, you'd get a phone call from Randy at 6 o'clock at night, and sometimes it was 9 o'clock at night, and he'd talk for an hour, or maybe he'd talk for 2 hours, and so we spent a lot of time that way. I know this cast up here, Randy broke his arm roller skating, and I'm not sure exactly how old we were, but that's how that cast got there. I know
he was scrawny. Randy was scrawny when he was in grade school, and the boys that were skating with him knocked him down, ran over him, and that's how he broke his arm.
I know in the snowstorm of '78, we had some people that had a Quonset hut, and on the one side of the Quonset hut, the snow had piled up, and we dug basically an igloo in that underneath that pile of snow, because it was probably 20 feet deep, and it was a big, you could stand up in it. It was just huge. And, we were in our mid-20s at this time. Well, 78. I was 20. I too remember the musicals that Randy was involved with, and always enjoyed remembering those events that he had, because I thought he was pretty good up there in the spotlight and on a stage, and I couldn't really do that by myself like he did. Like Cheryl said, we sang in not only in 4-H, but we sang in church. We had different talent contests besides 4-H that we were entered into. I remember one time we went to the IOOF, which is an Odd Fellows Fellowship, and he sang at the Odd Fellowship. And we were probably 8, 9, 10 years old at that time. So we did a lot of things like that. One story my brother told us about was we had some neighbors, Nob and Nina Four, and they had both passed away, and my dad had cattle in their barns, and so Randy had to go over in the morning before school and give them water. Well, the only way to get water was a 5-gallon bucket in the bathroom inside the house, and he come home one morning telling us this story about how he smelled fresh perfume in the house, in the bathroom, and there hadn't been anybody living there for 3 or 4 months or longer. So it was a spook story that he told, and I believed and still believe, because he never told me anything different. But that's pretty much my list of things that I have, but just there's probably more that I just didn't remember to write down. But lots of good memories.
Sarge.
Sarge. Well, Sarge was, of course, our boxer, and he weighed 80 pounds, and he went everywhere. And he could run probably 20 miles an hour. And where we lived and where the farm was about not quite a half a mile drive there. And he'd keep up with you. He'd go to sleep with you and in bed with you. He did everything with Sarge.
Raymond ate dog food with him.
When Sarge would get sick, my mom would give him whiskey. So he was a good dog. And I know we've got pictures. I probably have a picture on my phone. If you want to stop it, I'll pull it up and show you us 4 kids with Sarge. I know I've got that on my phone.
Significant, at least in these families. I would love to encourage you to think about what they just did, for you to do the same thing. People in your family have the stories, and maybe it's you, but if they're not written down, who's going to know? I would encourage you. It's your life, it's your story, it's your history. Write it down. And if it doesn't make any difference to you, it's going to make a difference to someone. I got to know Randy just a little bit, just hearing people remember what was. And I just think it's a great reminder for all of us to make sure that our life is written down. Some of the things that make us tick. I think it's a great gift to give people. Let me read to you some things. Now, this is from Danny. This is about Randy, obviously. These are just some of the things that also make him who he is. Randy loved his cats. From Billy Joe Jim Bob, that's one cat, right?
Yeah.
Big cat.
Is he not from Kentucky? I mean, because that sounds like a Kentucky cat.
Yeah, well,
I'm from Kentucky, so to me that was funny. Okay. Billy Joe Jim Bob, better known as Fat Cat, to Mr., that's another cat, right? Another cat. And the current Missy girl. Are there pictures of all that here?
yeah, there's some that, yeah.
Okay, all right. Who Randy has spoiled so rotten you have to pet her while she's eating while telling her how good the food is. Really sell it. What a pain. Okay, it tells you a little bit about Randy, doesn't it? You know, probably some of you are raised and there it is, eat it. And if you don't like it, you're not going to eat. Apparently that's not the way he was. Certainly not with his cat. Okay. Randy loved his Jefferson Holler home. From the first day they walked through the woods, Dan and Randy knew this was where they would call home. Did you all know that that's what this was called? You didn't? Good, I didn't either. Sounds like someplace, yeah. But and you had told me that story too, Danny, that as soon as you saw this place, this was it. And as you can see, it's a pretty peaceful place to be. And your own business, mind your own life, and create your own world, and shut everyone else out for a while until you have to wade back into it. And I think you found a pretty smart place. Randy was proficient in botany. You know what botany is? If you shake your head yes, I'm going to make you tell us what it is.
Study of plants.
Thank you. Good. All right. He knew every name of every plant and flower in Jefferson Holler. He could always tell the kinds of birds flying about the place. And there are some birds that you don't like, right? Danny, aren't there some birds that are kind of a nuisance? What's the critter that you don't like hearing? You told me about
I
it.
got peewee.
The peewee.
Yeah, he's very annoying.
Very annoying bird.
Screech.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
surprised he made a visit here and pooped on somebody.
Okay, all right. All
Give
right.
it time, he'll show up.
Okay. Randy was very creative with decorations, especially when it came to telling Dan how he wanted something to look. Then saying, oh my, if it was acceptable. If Dan did not hear oh my, he knew his work was not done. That, you can relate to that, can't you? You know the cues. Yeah, okay, there you go. Randy was a great cook. Where did you go? There you are. Yes, Randy was a great cook and loved the holidays. He would create all their favorite dishes as though they were feeding a dozen or so people. Then they would have to eat on it until they're sick of it. Thank goodness holidays were few and far between. Now, I looked up the word that you wrote, and I couldn't find it in French or Spanish. I don't know what it means. I'm not even sure I could say it, but I'll try.
It was in Gailey's.
It was P-A-R-E accent aigu. What is it?
Pare.
Pare, okay. Randy was a loving and caring man. He was my pare, my friend, my companion, my soulmate, never to be forgotten. That was from Dan. And you're here for Randy, but you're here for Dan. To love him and to help him, to walk with him. Everyone, we're very unique. Looking around, we're quite unique. People don't always understand everything about us, but we all understand grief, don't we? Don't we all get grief? We all understand loss and pain. We all know what it is to be called to love one another and to help one another in hard places. Well, in my estimation, this is about the hardest place that you'll ever be. And you have people here who love you and want to help you and walk with you. I have something that was given to me by hospice. And you all know what hospice is about. We all understand what hospice is about. This is the worst time of a person's life for everyone in the family, but they help us ease out. And hospice has been a great experience for me in caring for people. And this is something that they've given that they want me to read for you all to hear. Now this was a guy who'd been around for a while and had plenty of losses in his life. He's the one who wrote this. He knew what pain was. He knew what absence was. He knew what hopes and dreams dashed. He knew all that stuff. That's probably all of you do looking around. You all know what it is to suffer. This is what he wrote about that in his own experience. I wish I could say to you, or I wish I could say you get used to people dying. I never did. I don't want to. It tears a hole through me whenever somebody I love dies, no matter the circumstances. But I don't want it to not matter. I don't want it to be something that just passes. My scars are a testament to the love and the relationship that I had for and with that person. And if the scar is deep, so is the love. So be it. Scars are a testament to life. Scars are a testament that I can love deeply and live deeply and be cut or even gouged, and that I can heal and continue to live and continue to love. And the scar tissue is stronger than the original flesh ever was. Scars are a testament to life. Scars are only ugly to people who can't see. As for grief, you'll find it comes in waves. And Dan, especially for you to listen, this is our best effort is going to be to help you stay balanced, to not fall off a cliff, so to speak, emotionally.
With his family.
Well, they jump off with you. As for grief, you'll find it comes in waves. Waves, like on a great lake or sea, okay? When the ship is first wrecked, you're drowning, the wreckage all around you. Everything floating around you reminds you of the beauty and the magnificence of the ship that was and is no more. And all you can do is float. You find some piece of the wreckage and you hang on for a while. Maybe it's some physical thing. Maybe it's a happy memory or a photograph. Maybe it's a person who is also floating. For a while, all you can do is float, stay alive. In the beginning, the waves are 100 feet tall and crash over you without mercy. They come 10 seconds apart and don't even give you time to catch your breath. All you can do is hang on and float. After a while, maybe weeks, maybe months, you'll find the waves are still 100 feet tall, but they come further apart. When they come, they still crash all over you and wipe you out. But in between, you could breathe, you can function. You never know what's going to trigger the grief. It could be flowers, birds, a favorite dish, something. Just a thought that pops into your mind. It'll trigger that grief. It could be a street intersection or a picture, the smell of a cup of coffee. It could be anything. and the wave comes crashing again. But in between waves, there is life. Somewhere down the line, and it's different for everybody, you find that waves are only 80 feet tall or 50 feet tall. And while they still come, they come further apart. You can see them coming. An anniversary or a birthday or Christmas, you can see it coming for the most part and prepare yourself. And when it washes over you, you know that somehow you will again come out of the other side. Soaking wet, sputtering, still hanging on to some tiny piece of the wreckage, but you will come out. Take it from me, the waves never stop coming, and somehow you don't really want them to. But you'll learn that you'll survive them, and other waves will come and you'll survive them too. If you're lucky, you'll have lots of scars from lots of loves and lots of shipwrecks. That's by hospice. I think as I read that to you, read it to Danny, because it's for you, because it's about you. I think everyone understands it. And some people want the pain to go away, but sometimes when the pain lessens, you become afraid that you're losing them. They get further and further away. All of us know what it is when we've lost. We want the wound to stay open sometimes because we're afraid if it closes, we've betrayed our love, we've betrayed our heart. We're moving away from what identifies us. Sometimes it happens, but we're all different, but all of us understand. And at this moment, Danny, I know that the wave is 100 feet tall. And it comes down. Right now, you're a little distracted by all of this, the love, the stories, the focus on other people talking to you. The nighttime comes, and then you'll know the waves. But remember what this man wrote. It's true. Now, let me give you some advice that over the years that I've done this, and by the way, nothing fixes it. You know, the Bible talks about God, He's with us in the valley of the shadow of death. He doesn't take away the death. He doesn't take away the sense of the valley and the darkness and the pain. Especially if our faith is small. If our faith is great, it doesn't matter. We're in the valley. The valley's coming to all of us. Some people are grieving in other ways for other losses, and they come to this place to love you, and they're carrying other stuff too. All of us get it, but it's true for all of us. This is what I would say to you. Learn to gain your sea legs. You know what sea legs are? Brother, you know exactly what sea legs are. Hey, this is perfect, because that was in my heart. That was in the hospice thing, and you were in the Navy. In my mind,
I thought it meant so much to me when I first read it.
well, and I think it's appropriate. And by saying that to you, and I think this is what Scripture teaches us. And Jesus said, in this world you'll have trouble. You're going to have trouble. He didn't say you won't. He said you will. Guaranteed. Period. But learn to not hope for the absence of the waves. You don't have to worry about that part. Whether they're there or they're not there. You take care of your heart. You gain those sea legs. And you'll know better ways to stand. You'll know better stuff to think about. You know, we're to take our thoughts captive. We're to do that. If you get yourself in a dark place, you start to get wobbly. The waves are coming. The memories are there. The fear is there. All the stuff that grief does. And in spite of all the stories that do make us smile and connect us and make us laugh. I mean, the siblings, oh my goodness, great stuff. There's a whole world of that stuff. But in the end, there's that pain, and all of us get it, and that's what you're in. Make sure that in the midst of that stuff, if you feel like you're getting knocked down, you regain who you are. You regain where you are. You've got people that love you. They can't fix it, but they can stand with you. You make sure you make good decisions. You make sure the stuff that you bring into your life lend to health. You don't, if you get yourself in this, I feel like I'm just talking to him. I kind of am, but it's important. You find yourself, you're getting into a dark place, you're losing your balance. Call the people that'll come around you. Let them listen to you. That's the second thing I want to tell you. Over time, and I think all of us know what this is, every one of us gets this. Have you discovered that when you grieve, and in this case, this will be your experience, I think. When you grieve, there's going to be a time when there's going to be an interesting experience where people that come around you are assuming that you're okay, and they don't talk about the reality which maybe, no, my heart's still broken. So that is the pressure of those who've lost. It happens to everyone. People are over your grief before you are, and you're never over your grief. You learn to live with it. You get your balance. You start to live well. You live healthy. You start to dream again and have hopes again. If there's a time, not only when you're trying to figure out how to be on that boat and the pain's coming, if there's that time and it's down the road, you know the people that still have ears to hear, and you reach out to them. Will you do that? It's not going to be so far down the road that they won't be interested in how you're doing. The people here, I will make the assumption, love you. And they want for you a heart that is steady and okay. And they know that there's great pain. But it's important that you reach out to those people who are willing to hear. And if that's you, remember, what I would encourage you to understand, and you know this, I'm preaching to the choir, I suppose. People don't want to be fixed oftentimes, they simply want to be heard. Because there's certain things you just can't fix. And this is one of them. I would just encourage you, reach out to him every now and again. Can you do that? Call him. Send him a note. When he's not expecting it, 6 months down the road, send him a note. Say, I was thinking about you. And saying something that makes sense in your relationship, but knowing that you're talking to someone who's just experienced a broken heart. It would be really good to continue to reach out, but you keep reaching out too, Danny. I don't want you to end up in a place in which you feel like you're all by yourself. And that's important.
Yes, you do.
Okay. One more thing, and this is in my neck of the woods and thought. Danny, learn to listen to God. God loves you. He does. And this is hard. And I wish I had words that would take away your pain and make all of this make sense. But all I know is that the God that made you, the God that made the flowers and the birds and all the stuff that we see, that put love in your heart and gave you the capacity to love, loves you. Learn to listen to his voice. You'll learn to hear it. I don't think you'll regret it. What I'd like us to do, I'm going to have a word of prayer, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Randy's brother, and he's going to guide us to do some other things that are meaningful in this time as we remember Randy. Father, in this moment, you know exactly what's going on in all of the hearts. You know all of the pain. You know the struggle. And you know right now, this is when I know we need you. And I pray that you speak to our hearts, and especially that Danny hears you. So in the name of Christ, I pray. Amen.
Dan's purchased a tree that we're going to plant. And Donna's going to get some of Randy's ashes. And anyone that wants to take some of those ashes and spread them around the tree, anywhere around the woods that you want to go and meditate maybe for a few minutes about Randy, feel free to do that. I think we were talking about if we plant some of the ashes under the tree, it's kind of like, shit. So Randy was kind of full of shit sometimes, so it might help the tree grow faster. So
Sorry, Mom.
You weren't supposed to use that word.
oh, I wasn't supposed to say that?
No.
Oh.
Look at this.
Yeah, we're going to mulch or something.
Three. Three to 0. Gave me a 0.
Oh, is it?